Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to show you the craziest, well, really the dumbest thing I've done on a chessboard to date. Recently, I decided it'd be a good idea to play the Bongcloud 100 times in a row. And I did this basically over a weekend, which, playing 100 games that quickly, terrible idea. They were all blitz. The first game I'm going to show you, chess.com thinks it's like 100 to 200 ELO, which is terrible. I'm also going to show you I paired up against a cheater. I'm going to show you about 4 of them. But before I do that, I want to make sure everyone knows what the Bongcloud opening is. And it's very simple. It's going to be white opens with e4, black responds with e5, and then white opens with e2, well, king to e2, and this is just terrible. I mean, if you've played 1 minute of chess, you can see queen is boxed in, bishop is boxed in, I no longer can castle. It is going to be so hard to get these rooks out, so hard to develop pieces, and yeah, the evo bar is already showing you it's a terrible opening. I would also like to show you what this looks like on black's side. The simplest form would be something like this, and black just opens with a normal Bongcloud. But that is not what I got very often. Oftentimes they would open with the knight, and I would just connect these pawns. They would continue developing, and then I could open with the Bongcloud. The rarest and kind of my favorite variation was if they would open with something like the queen's pawn. I would just open with the pawn to e6. They would continue developing, and then I would just open with the king. This was kind of nice just because my pawn wasn't quite as overextended, and so oftentimes I would push pawns and try to get this king into the corner over here or go this way, and just open with a wall of pawns. That is your quick intro into the Bongcloud opening. You could see my opponent here, Nasib999, is estimated by chess.com to have been 150 rated when he was playing this game. I was estimated at 250 rated. This was the second game I had ever played with the Bongcloud opening. I'm going to show you the first game in a second, but this game opens typical Bongcloud stuff. He made it easy. I didn't have to do any of the variants on black, and I'm already down 3.6. So he could have tried to make life hard on me and just go straight with the wayward queen, but he's going to do that kind of afterwards, and so basically he's just going to start trying to threaten mates right off the bat. Unlucky for him is these were very, very easy to refute. I mean, what is this bishop move? There's really, I mean, if he thinks I'm dumb enough to take the bishop, I guess that's fair, and given the estimated elo, it's very fair. But all I have to do is leave this pawn here. It's defended 2 different ways, well, 3 if you include the king. And so I'm just going to start trying to develop trade pieces, because one of the things I had coming in here is, other than trying to get the king out of the way so I could get rooks out and obviously open up those lanes for bishop and queen, I also was really intent on trying to trade pieces, because at my level, people are not that good with endgames. They have no idea how pass pawns work. And so if I could just trade everything equally and get to an endgame, I liked my chances of, you know, pulling something out there. But here he's getting himself very, very cramped for no reason. I'm trying to move things off the back line to open up lanes for these rooks to move, because I kind of really wanted to just pressure, which he kind of incidentally made it extremely easy to do. What Stockfish would have preferred me to do is something like this. This would get him to step his queen in. Then I can advance my pawn. He's kind of got nowhere good to go. Stockfish really just says you should develop here, and then I can take, and that's the line Stockfish would have preferred. Instead, though, I step my queen over because I'm ready for him to open this lane, as I was talking about earlier, and then I could get my queen out here and then put some pressure on mate. And that's kind of exactly what's happening here. Now again, Stockfish doesn't like the move I chose. They would have rather I went somewhere like here. This is really an uncomfortable position for him because he basically only can go here. And then I can push my pawn, and I've got his pieces for it. It's very, very nasty. They say, you know, go queen here. I can take this. It's just getting very ugly very, very quickly. Again, not what I chose to do, though. I chose to threaten mate, because what else am I supposed to do? And he hangs mate. I mean, yeah, he just straight hangs mate, and that's it. That's the game. And yeah, this is just a bad game. I mean, 27% accuracy to 45. Just one to forget. But this one also opened Bongcloud But here I was being a purist. It was my first game out of the bat. I didn't want to defend this pawn in any way. I just wanted to play the Bongcloud. And so that means I'm going to lose pawns very quickly. I'm already down 1 material and 3 based on Stockfish. And this is, again, I was talking about, I really wanted to open up lanes for my pieces to develop. And that ended up not being a good idea. I mean, he's going to start doing checks. And again, like, because I wanted to make sure that I was leaving these lanes open, I stepped forward. That was a terrible idea. Stockfish hates that idea, and you'll see why in a second. He advances this queen. That's good because it threatens this reveal. And I basically was like, yeah, I don't care. I can always just do, well, see, I didn't have a good idea. But then he misses it. So if I step back here, he has mate in 5. All he does is develop-ish the bishop. I mean, I don't even know what this does. I mean, he's kind of making it so he can move this knight, but yeah, this is ugly. Instead, what he could have done here is mated me. I mean, just straight up mate. All he had to do is step this knight out, and then I would be forced to retreat the king, and then all he does here is just push the pawn. That's check. I can't move anywhere, and then I can just block, and then get mated. That's the mate in 5. But as you just saw, that is not what happened at all. He just pushes his bishop. I develop a rook, and it's still mate in 7. Basically, similar idea as before. He misses it again, and now it gets a little bit interesting. I still don't really respect this reveal mate, which is kind of a bad idea because, like, after a reveal here and he gets his rooks out, I mean, it can get really ugly. I mean, it's essentially exactly what he did. I step back because I'm like, okay, I'll go to the corner. He reveals mate anyway. I'm going to lose a knight. And now it gets very ugly because if he just, starts developing these rooks, takes, I still can't get out of either of these lanes. And so king is really trapped here. And so, sacking one rook back here and getting another one down there would be decent for him. And that's kind of what he tries to do. And so I exchange rooks. But kind of what he didn't account for is it's pretty easy to defend this square with just developing the bishop, and then that'll make it easy to get my knight out, and then I'll have access to my rook. And so that's all I do. And then he starts trying to kick my bishop for some reason, and this is going to put him in a very precarious spot because he kicks the bishop, he chases the bishop, and now, I mean, I'm going to move my bishop here, but this knight becomes very, very crucial. Just because right here, queen to here, it's mate. Queen would challenge each of these squares, and the king has nowhere else to go. It's boxed in here. So this knight becomes very important, and he hangs mate. Just straight up hangs mate. I mean, I sort of respect him for trying to see this fork, but yeah, that's mate. That's good game. That's just it. And this game, more respectable from an accuracy perspective, 61 to 59. These projected ratings, still horrible. But at least I played a good middle game. And these were the first 2 games I played. This is 2-0. 2-0. But things kind of, turned around. So what you're looking at here is actually my 53rd game. So if I give you a little bit of a recap, what happened was I played those first 2, and I played 15 more, and it was 2 a.m. So 17 games in, I had a record of 9, 6, and 1. This was the next day. I had slept on it, and now I'm at game number 53, and this is what happens. I open with the Bongcloud, and he opens with it too. This is a double Bongcloud game. And then I'm just going to proceed to develop normally. Again, I'm going to try to get my king out of here. I later kind of abandoned this strategy, but it was what I used for most of my games. Developing my knight there. He's just going to start taking pieces. And I get to this little formation that I kind of had really liked. So first, I sack a knight, which was not a good idea. Should have just retreated. Basically, here is my best move. But I didn't do that. I sacked him, and I was like, "Oh man, I'm gonna lose the Bongcloud game." Even though I'm the one who's definitely I've just played 52 of these in a row before it, and so that's a little bit embarrassing. But I get to this kind of structure that I had liked, where I have this knight covering this pawn. I've got a pawn covering a pawn, and I've got the king. So triple protection here, and then double protection here, and my rook is free to develop. and I had really, really liked this setup. I kind of ended up realizing this was not helping me that much, because even though like I could get the rook out, these pieces were still not helping me a whole lot. And if he would get his pawns down the board, it was much easier for him to break in. But at least this was my current working kind of deal. And here he opens with the check, so I kind of had to move my king there. Otherwise, I would have just captured the pawn. But I do end up capturing the pawn. I start trying to create some sort of tension on him. Here I'm going to give a nice check. He's probably going to just retreat into this corner, because if he blocks, I've got, a little bit too much here. He would definitely lose some pieces. So yeah, going to step out and into the corner a bit. I'm going to start pushing pawns. He's going to start, defending. But now I've got him much more on his toes than I did before. I'm definitely getting my pieces out and active. This bishop much better than it was before. His knight a little bit locked up. And he's going to keep checking me. I'm going to end up in my own corner. Very much mirrored structure here. And then he's going to start just coming at me. And here, yeah, as you can see, I decided I'm going to take your knight, because if you take mine, it's even, and I can kind of protect my king in this corner. Not great calculus. You can see the eval bar hates it. And then he's going to exchange some pieces there. Now I don't have a bishop. He has no knights. And I'm just clean down a bishop. And, well, significantly more if you believe Stockfish. But this is where he starts to give the game back. Well, first, it should be said that he has a mate here. All he has to do is take this bishop up here. This is very inconvenient for me. I can't retreat at all. I mean, I can block, which is what Stockfish would like me to do, is block with the queen. Then I have no choice but to block with the pawn. Then if he exchanges pawns, it gets worse. I have to then take his pawn, and the queen there is quickly going to become a mate. I only have KH2, and that's mate. But of course, that's not what happens. Mate in 5's kind of difficult to see. So he's just going to take a pawn, and this kind of lets the tides turn significantly. I'm going to gobble his pawn, put his king in check. He's going to walk his king over in the corner. That's going to block the bishop, or that's going to block the rook, which he still has similar ideas to what he had before, but not being able to bring that rook in is a hindrance. I'm going to challenge his queen, try to get her out of there. It's a little dicey there. He definitely has ways he could retreat. He's going to go with the bishop now, finally. I'm just going to retreat the king, because there's really nothing else to do there. And his only good move, he only has one good move here, which he does find, which is queen to e2. Anything else he did there would have been white winning, but he goes queen e2. I now have to step my king even further out, and this is where things change considerably. He tries to put a lot of pressure on this rook, not remembering that that's a really bad idea, because I think what he was thinking, well, I can't even tell. I guess he's looking for this mate here. All I have to do here is go here to check the king. That's going to drive him here or here, but either way, queen is mate. And I missed that. I don't see it. And then he still proceeds to say, no, mate me. And so I don't know what he saw with this queen move, but I'm just going to take that. He hung his queen. He's going to come in with the rook. And now I finally find the mate that I should have found before. And that's going to be a win there. So the double Bongcloud game, I did end up winning, but it was much, much closer than it should have been. And so the last game I would like to show you is ridiculous, because this dude no longer is on chess.com. He has been banned for cheating. Yes, I played a cheater with the Bongcloud opening. And actually, this game was very interesting just because, unlike all of the other games, I actually punched up in rating, and so did my opponent. But he's going to open up similar to the first game I played, second game I showed you. And now I'm just going to start sacking pieces, getting them out of the way. And here I really liked this block he had here. I definitely would have been better to go with the knight, as Stockfish is showing you, because what I can do is just sack my queen, and now he can no longer castle either. And so this definitely makes the game a lot more playable on my end. I mean, it's still going to get hard to get my rook out here. With his king in the center, it's a little bit easier to get these rooks out, but much easier than it could have been. And here he's going to just, I don't even know what he's doing. I'm going to keep sacking pieces. I want to try to win an endgame. I'm getting my knight out of the way. Really kind of a bad idea to go this way. I don't know what I saw that made me want to do that. Because, yeah, there's definitely a lot less scope when I can only reach these squares versus, you know, all of this. But, yeah, so we're going to keep going. I'm going to get a rook out. I'm going to cover that knight and then get my king out of the way. And now I'm going to get a very strong center. And he's going to keep going as well. I've got my knight back because I realized that was a terrible idea earlier. And now I'm just very strong, very sturdy. And we're going to keep marching. We're going to keep marching. Going to keep sacking pieces and just get through this. And so actually at this point I was up very slightly, 0.7, but up against this guy. And he's going to keep marching his king around, and we're just going to check him and get to an endgame, sacking rooks, getting that knight out. And then this is where I just couldn't hang. He's going to start, pushing this pass pawn. It's going to get very hard for me to defend. And he's just, queening's going to be inevitable, and I am going to be defeated. And particularly being defeated with a pawn push for mate is quite brutal. I hung out pretty well against the cheater, and you can kind of see time was definitely an issue for me. Again, this was 3+2 time control. But look at this. I mean, I'm playing from this point on with 10 seconds on the board. He's got a minute 12, and I end up hanging out fairly well, and at the end it's 2 seconds to 8 seconds. So I definitely killed a lot of time there, but ultimately couldn't hang with this former chess.com player. And so that is my quick recap on 100 games in a row with the Bongcloud opening. I actually have a spreadsheet. I'll show you very quickly here. I'll post this in the description so you can audit the games if you want to. Yeah, this is unfortunately very real. There are 100 of these games. You can take a look through them. But as far as my final score goes, I've won 50 games, I lost 42, and I drew 8. And so that's not adjusted for the cheater. So 42 games, one against the cheater. But yeah, 50 games. And actually, I was up almost 100 ELO on this, which is ridiculous. If you liked this, I mean, if you watched this far, hopefully you enjoyed. Leave me a comment on what you thought and maybe subscribe for more. I'm obviously a very small channel, so any subscriptions make a big difference. And if you have ideas for other similar videos you would like, feel free to let me know. But yeah, I mean, just get out of here.